Hello and welcome to another live broadcast. I'm with you today and I want to share a little insight that I had while I was out on a jog recently about how the genie in Aladdin's lamp taught me about the true meaning of forgiveness. So I don't know if you guys have seen the film, the recent film anyway, with Will Smith in it, with it's kind of like the remake of the original Disney film of Aladdin. But I watched it recently and it was really good, but this insight didn't strike me then. It kind of struck me out of the blue while I was out on this run. And that often happens. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys watching now, please say hi if you're coming in on the replay and whatnot. Like, have you ever had a really good idea, like a bolt out the blue when you've been on a long run? Give me a one in the comments if that's true, because it always seems to happen to me. Anyway, a little bit of context is just before I was out on the run, I was going through a process that I have been doing now for a good few months, which is this process of self-compassion and compassionate self-forgiveness. And it's been revolutionary in its ability to make what seemed like insurmountable emotional obstacles so to dissolve into bite-sized challenges that can be dealt with, which I think is super important. And I don't know if any of you guys on here would like to find a way to be able to do something like that for yourself, to be able to make, you know, what seem like insurmountable emotional obstacles, to be reduce them down to bite-sized challenges. And so, hiya Ben, good to have you with me, bud. And so what I kind of seen was that when we look at the film Aladdin, what most people notice is the idea of the genie and the idea of getting the three wishes and what is it that you would wish for. And this kind of got popularized again a little bit more with the book and the film The Secret. So I don't know if any of you guys have watched The Secret or read The Secret. Give me a yes in the comments or a little emoji in the comments for The Secret if you've seen it. Great book, great film, kind of sets everyone off in the right direction. Daryl, I do remember you. Good to see you, my mate. Thanks for watching. Matt, good to have you with me. So we're talking about judgment, we're talking about releasing judgment, and we're talking about it through the context or through the lens of the film Aladdin. So anyway, yeah, as I was saying, the film The Secret and the movie The Secret kind of popularized the idea of using the metaphor of the genie as kind of like the universe. So we have the universe being our genie, and we can make wishes and we can get whatever we want. And that's great, and I love the idea of that. I thought that was actually really powerful and very affirming. But the truth is that many people have watched The Secret and many people have been impacted by The Secret, but it didn't really do anything in terms of changing their life. And I find that the reason for that being is that when we start getting into wishing for better things outside of ourselves to make our life feel better, we kind of miss the point. We're missing the point because nothing outside of us can make us feel better. It's an inside job. And anyone that's sort of stayed in this, you know, world of self-development or whatever, especially anyone who's on my page, knows that in order to be able to make true transformation occur, we have to look inside. And sometimes it can be a bit messy in there. And so what I noticed when I looked at the film Aladdin this time was something different. And it was through the lens of what I know to be the real power to change our life, which is through compassionate self-forgiveness, forgiving ourselves for the judgments that we hold against ourselves that keep our belief system trapped in place. And this is really where the powerful work begins, because when we start undoing judgments that we hold against ourselves, we start being able to get access to those old belief systems and we are able to let them go. And that is all an ego problem. All of these belief systems that we have are all existing within our biggest belief system, which is I am this name, this person, I am this job or whatever. That's the biggest belief system, which is the ego itself. And so we're kind of contained within this big belief system. And our true self, our authentic self, is trapped within that idea of who it is that we think we are, this very small idea of who we think we are. This idea of the genie itself, for me, was not that the genie is the universe, but actually the genie itself is our authentic self. The genie is really our authentic self, and that's where we send our wishes to. We send it to our deeper self with a big S. And so when we're sending wishes there, we're wishing and hoping for a better reality outside of ourselves. Again, we're doing the same thing. And in the film, what you'll notice is that the genie is trapped. The genie is a prisoner of the lamp. He has chains around his wrists and he's bound to the lamp. And even though he is the most powerful being in existence, allegedly, the most powerful being in existence is trapped and chained inside this very small, kind of useless lamp. And that really is what got me thinking, hang on a minute, maybe there's a little bit more to this story. Maybe the real story is not about the idea of the wishes itself, but is what happens at the end of the film when Aladdin makes the most powerful wish, and he wishes to set the genie free. And all of a sudden Aladdin is now, able to be like friends with the genie, and it's nice in the new film. He goes off and the genie has his own life, and it's very humble and very sort of down to earth, but it's actually super powerful because no one said that the genie stopped being the most powerful being on earth. He was just able to be free of the constraints of this small lamp, which in my mind is kind of a metaphor for the ego, our small self, or our personality. That really our true self, our authentic self, our highest self, whatever you want to call it, is the metaphor of the genie, which lives within our ego, and our ego is what keeps it contained and trapped. And that when we make the ultimate wish, when we really make a wish that is not ego bound, so we're not wishing for material things, because you notice when Aladdin was wishing for material things, they were always turning out wrong and he was getting found out. Like, every time Aladdin made a wish to make himself look good using the lamp, he always ended up feeling like a total fraud. And this idea of I'm not good enough, or imposter syndrome, like, this is it, guys. Like, this is exactly it. So the lamp is where we store our higher self inside this ego, and when we make wishes that are all about material goods and externally looking better and basically falsifying what we think needs to be made to look better, we always feel less than, we always feel not good enough, and we always get found out. But then we wind back and we look at what happens when we make the ultimate wish, which is to set the genie free, to set ourself free, our highest self with a big S, our authentic self. When we choose to make that the wish, then the reality that Aladdin gets to live inside of is much more wholesome. It's real. He doesn't have to fear that it's going to be taken away from him or that he's going to be found out. And the whole thing just becomes very real. It stops being a falsehood. It stops being a chase for something better. And it becomes very present. Like, right here, right now is the place to be. Because when we set that authentic part of ourselves free, we don't need anything else. We never do. It's nice to have things, and yes, he gets married and he marries the princess and whatever else, but like, he marries her as Aladdin, not as anyone else, not as the false prince that he made himself out to be when he was using the lamp in the wrong way. And so I wonder where this might be showing up in your world. What are the things that you're wishing for that really, if you are allowed your authentic self to be set free, that it wouldn't be so much of a big deal? And so this really cycles back to the power of forgiveness and self-forgiveness, which for me is one of the most powerful tools I've ever used in order to be able to access the authentic self. It kind of dismantles all of the parameters that our ego puts in place because of our judgments. But I think a good way to consider what this might mean for you is, where have you found yourself putting an awful lot of effort into making things on the outside look better or appear better to you, only to find out that even once you got it, you still felt trapped, you still felt caged, you still felt small somehow. And this is really because our true experience is that of the genies. Our real experience is always that of being the genie, of knowing we're the most powerful being in the world, but being trapped inside this very small, very, very tightly encased, and very safe, of course, it is safe, place that we don't really want to be and we don't belong. When we understand who we truly are and who we're identifying with, like the question, who am I? If we can't answer that without reflecting deeply for a few moments on a sort of felt place within ourselves, then we're always coming from a really shallow, kind of pointless place that is never going to be satisfied and satiated. It's just constant more. And there's never any real satisfaction. It's like the lamp gets passed along to the next person, that dream goes on to the next person. And if you believe in, that we reincarnate, who knows, maybe we're just constantly passing the lamp down again and again and again through lifetimes. And we'll finally wait until we get to a place where we're wise enough to actually make the real, most powerful wish that we could make, which is to set ourselves free. Where in your life could this apply right now? If you were to look and do a quick scan of all of the hard work that you're doing, all the hours that you're putting in, what is it that you're working towards? And what do any of those things equate to the ultimate wish, which is to set yourself free? How much of your energy, your life force, and your intention is being placed in that direction? And so just do a quick scan of your life today and just think about where in your life could you just 5% more lean into considering this as being really the last stop, the last destination. If we can start at the end, we can choose to skip all of the nonsense stuff, all of the drama, all of the upsets, all of the tears, all of the disappointments, and go right to the end point, which is set ourselves free. And that's really what we always want anyway. So we can go there, we can start at the end and make our life a reflection of that priority, where we're choosing to actively participate in ways of setting ourselves free and choosing to experience more of who we really are all of the time, so that genie can be set out of the lamp permanently and live a normal life knowing it's the most powerful being in the world and never having to be trapped again.